Hey, I'm Kristen Pettit Rickards. Welcome to Miracle Stories. We all were impacted by 9/11, but for today's guest and his wife, that impact was very personal. Sujo John was on the 81st floor when the plane hit. So you can just imagine when I say personal, this story is an incredible miracle. So I just want to thank Sujo for being here today. He's a very busy man, and I'm so grateful that he took a couple minutes to just encourage us with his incredible miracle story. So Sujo, if you just want to take it away and give us a recap of that day, what 9/11 looked like for you.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Kristen. And yeah, it was a day that changed all of America. It changed the world. I would live in northern New Jersey back then, and I remember getting to work close to 7:30 that morning. I'm on the 81st floor. It started off as a clear, cloudless day, but everything would change forever. It's close to 8:46 in the morning when I hear this incredible explosion, and that was American Flight 11 flying coast to coast, carrying 10,000 gallons of jet fuel. This huge jet plane crashes in. It crashed several floors above us, but the angle at which the plane went into the building resulted in the fact that part of the wing of the plane tore through our floor. So fire spreads around us, walls were collapsing, and we thought that building was going to go down with us. So there's 28 of us in the office, our faces on that carpet, and we thought that building is going to go down with the fire and everything that's happening around us. But we start fighting our way through the fire. We make our way towards a stairwell, and I'm running down, and thousands of people on that stairwell, and we hear another explosion. And those that are adults, they you probably remember, hearing the second plane and seeing the second plane crash on the second tower. And this explosion that I'm referring to was actually the second plane crashing into the second tower. And that's when that it hit me that my wife works on the other tower, and she was 4 months pregnant. She would work on the 71st floor of the South Tower. And that morning, we both left home at different times. I had left home before her, but she had called me when she had left home saying, "I've left for the city. I'll see you soon." And so I was convinced that she had made her way into a building, but I couldn't reach her. I tried to reach her through my cell phone, borrowed all the phones of people running down the stairwell with me, but cell phones wouldn't work. But we continue to descend down. I'm running down with a very heavy heart. We get to the 43rd or the 44th floor. When I share my story, I always pause and share this. We see firemen, these incredibly brave firemen, policemen, making their way up as we were making our way down. So we high-fived each one of them, saying, "You guys are the real heroes. God be with you," as we continue our way down. To quickly go through my story, it took me an hour and 20 minutes to come down 81 floors of the North Tower. I get to this level, which is called the plaza. I'm still in the building. So we turned on our left and onto the plaza, which would be this open space right in between these towers. And now that place had been turned into a place of death. There's bodies and body parts of people that had jumped out of the building or of people in those planes. The fuselage of one of the planes lying there burning. And we were told to avoid that scene of death. We were told, go down one more level, get to the lowest level and get out of these burning towers. So I make my way to the lowest level, which is the concourse level. And I'm now walking towards the South Tower through the concourse, thinking if my wife has not gone up, she could be somewhere there looking for me. And that's when the unthinkable happens. I get close to the South Tower when I hear another roar. I thought it was a bomb, but it was not a bomb. The very building I'd approached, the South Tower, was imploding and going down. It was an earthquake. It felt like it was an earthquake. Everything was shaking. The glass around me was shattering, and there's 15, 20 people with me. And by then we huddled together, and something within me said, "I'm going to die." And this question came: if I were to die, where will I go? And I had this incredible peace that if I were to die, I would make it to heaven. And these 15, 20 people that are with me, I just felt very led to ask them to call upon the name of the Lord. So I was able to pray with them. And then we scattered from that huddle, lying there with my face flat on the ground, being buried in debris. Thought I was going to die. But after about 20 minutes or so, someone pulls me, and I felt him. And as we got close to each other, we realized, in a way, we couldn't even see our hands because we were in a cloud of soot and ash with debris. But this was an FBI agent. He turns to me and he says, "I'm with the FBI." And we both told each other we're going to die. We couldn't breathe. We were choking on the soot and the ash. And as we said our final prayers, I see something miraculous happen. I see a red light flashing through the soot and the smoke. And I turn to this man saying, "That's the street level. We've got to make our way towards that light." So we started crawling our way towards a light. The light leads us out of the pit. And we both get out, but the man says, I got to go back and get more people. He runs back towards the North Tower. And again, something so sad happens. The North Tower, which was a building I would work at, it was a building to get hit first, but now this building is going down. And this building comes down, and the story of this man is just incredible. This brave FBI agent died that day. He's actually the only active FBI agent to have died. So both the towers have collapsed. I'm out of the debris, and I'm saying, God, why have you spared me? For sure, my wife is dead. But unknown to me, my wife was late to work by a couple of minutes. I was on the streets of Manhattan, angry, confused, when my phone began to ring. The first call that came through all of that day. And when I said hello, it's my wife on the other side. Both our lives were miraculously spared. In fact, my wife was pregnant with our son at that time, and this March he turns 21. So he's a miracle child, because even that child that my wife was carrying at that time, because of everything she inhaled, we were told to abort that baby, but we knew that was not an option. And he's a young athletic kid, and so we just been so grateful that God spared all of us and chose to give us another lease on our lives. And so that's our story.
We won't know this side of heaven what God did, all the details leading up to you being able to escape, probably that we don't even know. And that's what's so incredible about the intricacy of what he has for us. And so I know you touched on this a little bit, that it totally changed your perspective. Like, we all have been changed by 9/11, but certainly the direct impact, as I mentioned, that you and your wife had. What, if you would just go into a little bit of how 9/11, how that day changed you? Like, you woke up one way, and after that day, how did that change your life?
So great question, Kristen. But to beyond the things that have happened to us post 9/11, just the deep change within me was I started realizing for a fact now that life is short. So to appreciate life, because you're never guaranteed tomorrow. So how do you live your life at peace within yourself, at peace with your family and loved ones, and to be at peace with God? Media from all the world started getting a hold of our story, and a lot of media globally covered our story. People started calling me to speak. I'd never done public speaking, but I just felt God was calling us on that path. And from that day on, I've been speaking literally all over the world these last 22 years, every state in America, literally hundreds of cities. And God has allowed me to use my story as a platform or as a tool to challenge people about what really matters in life, to be asking them the question, if this were to be your last day on earth, do you know where you're going to go and spend eternity? I felt very led several years ago, it was in 2010, to start a nonprofit called You Can Free Us, where you and your husband have generously given in the past. I felt very led that kind of my own story, I was rescued, somebody sacrificed his life. I felt very led that I should start, when I saw the horror of modern slavery or human trafficking, I felt very impressed that I should start a nonprofit that will go rescue these women and children. Nothing happens to us by accident, and God redeems everything. And that's kind of the lesson that I've learned in my life.
Absolutely, Suja. That's wonderful. Taking that. And I love what you're saying about rescuing. God has rescued all of us, and you were literally rescued. And now, rescuing other people and using that and turning that around and not wasting. That's such a good point. Not to waste anything that has happened, whether it's a tragedy, whether it's something, a triumph, not to waste those experiences. To stop and say, God, what are you teaching me through this? What do you want me to do? And he will answer in the whisper. So that's amazing that you had the just the wisdom to listen to that. And okay, so one other question I want to ask you: what is one word that you would use to describe your journey?
The word would be adventure. It's been an adventurous journey. Walking with God is an adventure, and if you follow where He leads you, it's even greater. But for me, it's been a personal thing for me. But I also challenge people with this one statement always: that life stories can be rewritten. So no matter where you've been or where you are in this stage of life, you might be disappointed, discouraged about how life has been going for you. It doesn't matter, however broken, however messed up your story or your life may look like right now, God can always rewrite your life story. So that's what I tell people, the girls that we rescue, and then wherever I go, that, hey, every life story can be rewritten. And that just gives us hope, right, for the future. That gives us a reason to be waking up. that gives us a reason to go through our trials, to go through our storms, knowing that we can be defined by the things that's gone wrong in our lives, but we will be defined by the hope and the beauty that can rise even out of the ashes.
That's so good, Sujo. Thank you so much for taking the time to share a little bit of your story, and give my best, of course, to your wife. And thank you for what you do now to in turn rescue other people. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for talking to me.